on the LTL Connections introduction. There will be people probably joining us a little bit late, but because your time is so valuable, I don't want to go 1 minute over our 30-minute time. So let's get going. The first thing that I'd like to go over with you in this presentation is the actual process. That seems to be the biggest issue. The system itself is very simple to use. It's the process that has changed. So what I would like to go over with you is to explain how to get started, and that is this first box right here. And I'm going to, if you don't mind, I'm going to get a marker here, and I'm going to highlight these things. The very first thing you need to do is go to the corporate intranet, go to operations. There is an LTL section within the operations, and read the LTL 101 document. After you have read the LTL 101 document, if you work for an agent, you need to make sure that they then ask for you to receive access to the system. And if you let me actually get this, there you go. The form to request access to the system is to be completed and sent to agent support after you've read LTL 101. If the agent has not already been set up, they will have to be set up, and we will send them an addendum to their agreement. If the agent is set up, all we need is the user request, and this user request, the biggest thing to remember, this is ratings only. We are giving you access to LTL Connections to rate. You can shop your rates. You can see how it compares with the carriers and the transit times. The next thing you have to do, if you actually are awarded a shipment, is you have to fill out on the corporate intranet the request to have your customer added. You cannot dispatch a shipment with the rating only option, and I'm going to show you what that looks like in just a moment. What I also want to do right now is I want to take you over and show you real quickly where the documents are that we're talking about. Operations. Let me get my pointer back on. Within the operations, you'll see the LTL section right here. Within the LTL section, we have got for you the 101. We have got the agent user setup. And then once you've got the agent user set up and you want to start booking a load, you're going to fill out the customer setup. These forms will go to agent support. It takes literally just a few minutes to get all of that accomplished for you in order for you to be able to move your freight for your customer. Now let's go back real quick and let's review more of the process. Back at the process, once your customer is set up, now you can attach an order to your customer and you can begin to book your shipment. You can assign it to the carrier, tender it to the carrier through Connections, and then you can start tracing the shipment. Once the shipment has been delivered, the carrier within a few days will be sending us their invoice. All of this, you notice, is still within Connections. No one is going to KeyPoint yet. Everything is done in Connections. Once you, the agent, have verified that the carrier's invoice is accurate and you approve it, the next step that occurs is an automatic system program will create your order in KeyPoint for you. You do not have to create the order in KeyPoint. It will come in. And once it comes into KeyPoint, now you can invoice it. So those are the steps and the process. Now let's go over and let's take a moment and let's actually look at the tool itself. All right. In order to get into the tool itself, we've put that in the databases. It's right here, LTL Connections. When you go into LTL Connections, you log in with your user login. Remember, first time you do this, unless you've given us a customer to add, all you can do is rate. This is a demonstration. When you get logged in the first time, you don't have a drop-down window over here in the right. There is no drop-down window. But when you add your customers, you will see your drop-downs will occur. It's once you have your customers, you can start filling out your shipments. Now let's go through and explain just a little bit about what we're looking at. I've had a few agents say, well, now that you're able to give this tool to my customers, what does it look like? What the tool looks like for your customers is only this side right here. They cannot see load issues, nor can they see the account administration. Does that make sense? They cannot work on freight bills, and they cannot see anything financial. They have managed loads and load history. Now you, on the other hand, we're going to go over the freight bill management in much more depth in part 2. But for right now, let's talk a little bit about your options here. This show aggregate field, can make or break your understanding. When you have more than one customer set up, you will, unless you want to work just with that customer's freight, want to leave the show aggregate field checked. That will show you everything you have done as a user. I hope that makes sense, because if you look at the numbers here, the numbers without it go down. But when I check it, it gives me everything I've got. Okay, so now let's go ahead and let's start with an easy rate. We're going to demonstrate to you the fields that you need to fill in to get your easy rate. If you see a star there, that means you need to have a rate. These are where you're going to put in your class codes. And you have a density calculator right here to help you double check if there might be an issue with your class suggestion. And then right down here, you're going to also want to put this. Please note, and I'm going to highlight this equipment type, you cannot change that equipment type. If you change the equipment type, our contracts don't work. You won't get the right data. So leave that defaulted where it is. And once you put in your information, all you do is say get a rate. It's going to be going out now to the LTL carrier's website, filling in the information that you have inserted, and come back with some solutions for you. You see the green bar at the bottom is flashing. It's going out and it's coming back with our data. As you see this fill in the rate section, one thing to be very cautious of, transit time. Transit time does not include the day of pickup, nor does it include a holiday or the weekend. Those are business days only. So when you're making a commitment to your customer, please keep those in mind. Now our little hourglass is done and we have our answers. Right now, AAA Cooper is the lowest cost carrier and has a 2-day transit time. Now one thing too that I didn't mention is you have the ability, and as you know, LTL carriers charge for everything you ask them to do. So if your pickup location needs a specific type of accessorial, make sure when you're requesting your quote that you fill that in. Because if you don't, when you get your customers, your carrier's invoice, you're going to be fairly shocked. So let us say, So let us say now that we decide that we're going to go ahead and send this quote to our customer. Right here, the little green box, you have the ability to, oh, well, it looks like Matt's been in there already sending out quotes. Good job, Matt. Congratulations. You moved your first load today, too. So let's say that you want to send it to yourself. Please remember this. This price right here, if you do not have us automatically mark up the customer's rate, you must do that here or they are going to see your cost. So at this point, I would want to do this. We also recommend that you let them know what you're rating it over, just in case there happens to be a change when they get the new rate. You can explain, this is what I was given for that rate. And then you can send it to yourself, and then of course you can forward it from your own email with your own footer and signature. Down below in our notes section, we also have the ability here to see exactly how we quoted it, and you can see everything that we've done. And you also will get some notes from some carriers back that says either they call them or they don't service that market. So at this point now, we have this saved, and you're waiting on your customer to come back to you with a rate. So let's go back to our home. Let's pretend it's an hour later, and the customer now is calling and saying, I'd like to book that load. What you will do is now you'll go to your quoted section, and let's say there's no way you remember exactly which shipment. You have this nice little advanced feature. So what you can do is you can say that I know this was an open quote, and I know that I quoted this, and I remember that it was out of this zip code. I can search for it. You see it's loading to search, and here it is. Here's my pickup date today. Now what I can do is I can go into the details of the order and make an order. To do the assignment of this, this is where you get your Create Your Bill of Lading screen. You do not get a Create Your Bill of Lading screen unless you have a customer. So now I'm going to, oops, hit the wrong button. I'm going to go back in here, and I'm going to move this load by Create a Bill of Lading. When you create the Bill of Lading, now you can tell your carrier where they need to go to pick up. Your customer PO field is whatever number, this is the customer's reference number. Then you will go down here, and you will be able to enter your customer. If you have already entered the customer, you will see by just typing a letter or two, they will appear. If you have not entered your customer, this is the time to do it. You can save it. And then you can go in, and you can add your information. Your main dock is the default here. If there's actually a specific dock door that the driver is supposed to go to, you'll want to enter that. And I have Sam Tomberlin-Salas in here with me. Sam, I don't have to have a phone number on the contact.
So if you do not know the shipper or company's contact information, you're going to input in your contact information in that area.
And this is a requirement of the carrier so that the carrier and driver have someone and some way to contact in case it's a question. Now here's your shipment. Now what you will notice, everything's carried over from your quote onto your order. It does require you to get the rates again. The system isn't sure if there's been a rate change or if you may have made a package change, so it's going to rate it for you one more time. And when you rate it one more time, now you're going to be able to select your carrier. It's thinking, it's loading up. And now we have our AAA Cooper, and now at this point, I can book the load. I'm not going to really book the load, but if I can select this, if I hit this book right here, at that point, the carrier would get the pickup information.
If there was not a markup on the customers, so excuse me, Lisa.
That's right. Let me show you this. This is where you can go in and now actually put in whatever amount it was you quoted. This is the revenue field that will come over into key points. Okay? So now what let us do is let us go to a shipment that's actually in transit right now, because we do have some of these. I'm going to cancel this. And let's let you see what this looks like when it's actually being moved. So here's an example of one that is being moved. And I can look at the tracking. It goes right out to the carrier site, and it comes back and gives you your trace detail. Now what I can also do, well, I won't show you that. When it's delivered, you have access to the POD and the bill of lading as well. So this is how you can trace it to the point where you know that it is delivered. And Sam, what am I missing here so far?
Go ahead and go into one of the details of one of the other loads. Go ahead and go to the details of one of the other loads. You'll also notice under the awarded quote section, you can see your tracing details there as well. So if you're within the load and you're wanting to know the tracing details, we're getting EDI transmits from the carriers letting us know what's going on with the status of the load as well, if they're set up with EDI.
Another thing that's very important to be aware of is that once you've created the order, a bill of lading number is assigned. This is the only link between this record and what is going to become your key point record. This can never be changed. Please that it will come over into the bill of lading field on key point, and it will allow us to make sure that the payments are made accurately, because it will marry up the settlements with the record, and you don't want to change that.
While you're speaking about bill of lading, Lisa, if you click the View Bill of Lading tab on the load, there is a bill of lading document that's generated by this system. This is something you can send to your customer or the shipper, and this is what they will give to the driver when the driver arrives.
One thing that you do need to be aware of, you need to send this to your customer, because if you do not send this to the customer to give to the carrier, what will happen is that your customer or whoever the shipper is will get invoiced. So you're going to always want to send this out via email to the customer to let them know you've contracted with the carrier, who the carrier is, and that they're on their way. All right, let me clear off my markings. Now what we're going to do is explain to you a little bit what some of this data looks like. For example, this pro number field right here, this is the carrier's invoice number. If we do not have the carrier's invoice number, we cannot get electronic tracings for them. It doesn't match. So if for some reason you do not see that pro number within, I would say, an hour or two,
the following day.
By the following
day. What happens is it dispatches to the carrier. Usually they pick up in the afternoon. They'll take the freight back to the hub, take the bill of lading number, scan the sticker that they put on that bill of lading that has their pro number, and they'll update the system. So by the following day, that should be fed back into LTL Connections. Some carriers are doing it sooner, but by the following day, if you don't see that, you're going to want to contact the carrier to find out what's going on, why we don't have the pro number in the system.
Okay, perfect. Now let's go back real quickly here, and let's look at the freight bill management. So I was saying you can trace it through to the point where it has delivered. Once it has delivered, This is the area that you will go to match the carrier's invoice. And let's oh, it's still thinking. When I'm clicking on it, it shouldn't be thinking that. Freight bill management, and it appears to be having some problems with my internet access. I apologize for this. Let us go back here and let's try this again. My internet has crashed. Well, at this point, what we'll do is we will thank you for your time, as I have lost all of my connection. But what I will make certain that we do is we will include for this group the freight bill management review. My PowerPoint that I've got, because I want to make sure that you have my contact information. If you have any questions about today's session, please do not hesitate to give me a call or an email. We'll be happy to answer your questions. Sam and I both will. And we will be scheduling part 2 the week before Christmas. That's going to include a review of the contract, freight bill management, pulling paperwork, how to handle disputes, and how to handle the larger volume quote shipment. We thank you so much for your time, and we're getting you out of here just a few minutes early. Thank you.